Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Geek Bytes podcast. I am Ramon Mejia.
Yes, you are, and I am Edgardo Acosta.
And every single week on the podcast, we bring you the roundup of the week's best geek and tech news. We discuss that news and, of course, anything else we happen to be interested in that week. And this week, we have some great stories, including...
You run down and you choose your own adventure on Netflix movie, Carlton Suing Fortnite, weird-looking Sonic the Hedgehog, Predator versus Santa, the Movie Trailer Showdown, and much more.
And much more. Of course, we begin our show, though, with Geek News. And our first story in Geek News is going to be the widely, it's a very interesting story. We have other things popping up. Make this picture a little bigger. We have, there we go. Black Mirror is doing a film version of Bandersnatch on Netflix. It's a feature-length film with a massive twist. It's a story that invites you to choose your own adventure rather than unfolding in typical linear fashion where it's you just watch, it does a bunch of stuff, there you go. Instead, it is basically going to give you choices as you play and watch the movie. It's going to tell you different things. Trying to find a balance here. It gives you different options to make the right choice. It'll cost you. And the question is this something that people are interested in? Is this something that works? It's a movie that's set in 1984. You follow a disturbed young programmer who is adapting a sprawling fantasy into a choose your own adventure kind of video game. And it's set in the Black Mirror universe, so it definitely has a fan base. Is this something that you'd be interested in personally, man?
You know what? This concept's been around a long time ago, but it's been a while since I'd seen it. So I'll probably check it out. I probably would definitely.
Yeah, it's actually been done on YouTube more than... This is probably the biggest mainstream pull we've seen. I'm curious to see if it's actually going to work or not. I don't know that it is. I don't know that it's not going to work, but I've seen it on YouTube, and it hasn't really done a lot of popular where that people will shoot like a small YouTube video and to basically do a bunch of different clips and then like set them up in order where he's like, oh, at the end of it, you can choose between two different clip options or make this choice or this choice. And that's kind of what Netflix is doing here. And I think it's a very curious way. And apparently there's apparently like a trillion different options depending on what the choices, like combinations of options. But it's supposed to run like an hour and 30 minutes if you just like go all the way through. And there are people that are so dedicated and so interested in this that they've actually put a choice dialogue box where it's like a bunch like, oh, this is the choice you get if you come here or if you make this choice. And they have a whole like diagram that you can look up on the internet if you just want to watch like the best endings. And apparently there are 5 different endings as well to this particular film. I don't know if I want to call it a film. This video interactive thing.
It's pretty much the live action version of the Telltale games.
Yeah, sort of it. Yeah. Except that Telltale is a little more interactive, which is why that makes this such an interesting concept. But as far as a video or a film thing, this is kind of cool to me. I think it's neat. I don't know that it's going to be able to work with everything in the news because it's a lot of extra filming. I think it took them something like 36 days of like continuous filming to do this. Because again, you were editing it down, multiple reshoots, whatever the case is. So it's definitely probably more expensive too.
It's been done, like I said, done before, but I can't think of the name of the title, the original title. They did it with certain actors, and of course, depending on what you choose, either you kill them off or they continue. Who knows how long you keep that
definitely,
person around.
Said YouTube was probably the more recent version of this, and you can look up on YouTube saying choose your own adventure storylines. Mm-hmm. And there's like some relatively well-known people who've done like these little mini series that do this. But it's an interesting concept. This is the most mainstream, and it definitely pulls from the Black Mirror universe, so it kind of fits into with that whole sci-fi, fictional horror kind of thing going on. So I think it's cool.
Yeah, old concept just brought to current state.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Next story looks like Carlton is suing Fortnite, and he's joining the long list of people who are actually suing Fortnite. Alfonso Ribeiro, also known as Carlton from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, he is suing Fortnite for using his particular dance, the Carlton. And we're going to show you it in a little bit, showing all the different people, all the different moves and dances and pop cultural poses that Fortnite is using. And he's joining the long list of people who are suing Fortnite, including the Backpack Kid. And also rapper 2 Milli is sued the company for using his dance Swipe It. And we're going to show you the clip of several of these people who've collected and shown them side by side the differences between them. after an ad, apparently.
Yeah, but they've also been some of these original actors, though. They gotta admit, whoever created these dances, like Alfonso gotta admit, he said he kind of did his own take that he stole from a combination of like Gene Kelly, Fred Astaire, some other kind of people just doing their own little version of it.
No, absolutely, and copyright. And trademark law are definitely kind of on the side of Fortnite, in that you cannot copyright or trademark a dance itself. You can copyright, you can trademark the name of the dance.
Yeah.
You cannot actually copyright the moves or trademark the moves themselves. And that's essentially what Fortnite does. They're not referencing the original material on purpose, and they're not referencing the original title of those dances.
Yeah.
They're essentially copying them and using them and making people purchase them as add-ons to Fortnite, either as emotes or as dance expansions where they pay like their in-game currency, which you buy for real currency, real money. And so Fortnite is making tons of money, and I'm talking millions of dollars off of these moves. And artists are upset because they feel like, oh, you're making money off my hard work and my popularization of this thing. And to a degree, that's totally true.
Yeah, it's just so funny just to check out a comparison, because honestly, I haven't seen people dance in a long time, and if it wasn't for Fortnite, these moves kind of would just wither away. This is just they just brought it back.
No, and part of the reason that they can make money is because they're already popular. It's not. I mean, they're not even trying to make an homage like, oh, this is just sort of like that thing. No, they're doing a scene for scene, move for move copy of people who are famous for doing this.
If I'm right. Didn't the World of Warcraft and I want to say Halo were doing all Michael Jackson moves too for the longest time?
No, and again, that's the same thing. You cannot. They're not technically infringing on anyone's property or trademark rights, because you can't trademark the dance moves themselves, like somebody trademarking the foxtrot or swing dancing. No, you can trademark the name and the associated property with that name.
Yeah,
but.
So it's going to be a good luck if you get
people
any.
moving their feet and hands.
Yeah.
But I do understand the topic of this is something that they feel like they put a lot of effort into, that they're known for, and some other company is taking advantage of it and them not getting their cut. So I get that. Okay. Next story. Jack Black. He is starting his own gaming channel on YouTube. I'm not sure if this is going to be a legit thing, or if this is just spoof, because he's an actor, he's a comedian, he's known for doing things like this. But he's already released videos saying that he's going to do it, and he's comparing it his channel is going to be as good as PewDiePie or Fortnite's streamer Ninja, streamer Ninja. So, is this a thing? Is this where YouTube streaming dies when super popular actors like Jack Black get into it?
I want to say he's not getting any callbacks, so it must be slow on the making the movie.
He just came out with the movie. I mean, he came out with he has a movie coming out right now, or come out in the past. It was that kids' holiday, Halloween thing where he was
Goosebumps.
No, he's done that too.
Something?
It was the clock one, the clock with the magic on the wall, that thing there. And he's not working as an actor. He has projects coming out.
He's touring right now with the Tenacious D. Just had a couple friends go check them out. And
he still has tons of Kung Fu Panda money.
Hey, he can do what he wants. Free time. Hey, he's popular enough. Why not? As long as he puts out a good product, everybody's worth checking out. Because everybody, for the namesake, they'll look it up. Come on, one of the most useless quote unquote celebrities that puts their name out there and people are making a crazy amount of money is the Kardashians. Yep. What they're popular for, not exactly anything other than just being popular. They're famous for being famous, the Paris Hilton, of course, Kardashian, but
and that kind of, that's basically essentially what the gaming streaming does. People buy into your personality, they show up for you, and you're entertaining with you're playing a video game. And also sometimes it's these tips and tricks and ways of doing walkthroughs or just enjoying the content without having to invest time in playing and seeing new ways of doing things. I know a couple of different gaming streamers who make side cash, and it's a
Yeah.
nice little side hustle.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of people who do it full time and like make a decent-ish living. And
Yeah.
there are the few people who make mega millions of bucks
Personalities
doing it.
wise,
And I'm like,
'cause-
and he's kind of getting an advantage in that he's already a famous person. I mean,
Yeah.
I see Jason Mewes all the time of Jane Silent Bob on Facebook
Playing Fortnite.
playing Fortnite, getting paid for it, and getting ad money and revenue for that as well. So it's like it's also a way to connect with the community on something that I enjoy. And gaming is definitely becoming a bigger part of mainstream pop culture. So
Yeah.
it makes sense in several regards. I'm just curious to see what kind of gamer he is.
Yeah.
Like what if he's like a real competitive player, or if he's just going to be playing.
If he's a
Pac-Man
shooter
or something.
guy,
I'm not-
there you go. Pac-Man. Is he a Street Fighter dude? Is he, one player kind of game?
Like I know he invested in and produced a video game.
Wasn't it the Brutal?
Yeah, Brutal Legend, I think it was.
Brutal Legend.
Yeah, and that was a genuinely fun game. He did the voiceover work for it. But it also played into like, a rocker, like heavy metal kind of concepts. And it was definitely
all
fun.
him.
But it was also like, is that the game he plays? So that's just the game he wanted to see in life.
Hey, his money, his dream, his
Yeah,
whatever.
so
Live it up. Have
I would
fun.
definitely watch it for a little bit to see what it is.
Yeah,
But it's like,
definitely.
that's where streaming, it's becoming super mainstream at this point.
Did you ever see him on the Video Game Awards?
No.
Where he kind of he hijacked the show very briefly, where they were announcing Game of the Year, and he just kind of stormed the stage. He's, I'd like to thank everybody for making Brutal Legend the greatest game of the year, blah blah blah, and it was actually some other game.
It is absolutely because Brutal Legend did not do super well.
Did enough for
like it was
fans.
fine. It was a short game. I remember it being something like less than 20 hours to play, and it had nice cutscenes. Some of the gameplay wasn't awesome. But that's kind of the risk you take in any kind of video game franchise.
Yeah.
And getting with the right company and just funding video games in general is super expensive. So I'm not surprised that maybe the product just went over budget and had to go out with like less than perfectly polished stuff. Like EA, all those game companies spend millions of dollars in getting their video games polished right, polished enough. I guess.
Can you think of a of a video game that's based off a living person that's kind of became a franchise? To me, closest thing would be kind of like GoldenEye was pretty popular.
Yes, it was pretty popular. The franchise itself, it didn't really do as a franchise. Like GoldenEye is popular.
Yeah.
James Bond as a video game franchise, not as much. Like that was probably the most popular version of that. Like there's plenty of like video game movies. I think Lara Croft is probably the best one, and Tomb Raider. In that, not only was it a popular video game, it became
crossover.
Several movies. It became a trilogy of movies and then a reboot, and then then a new video game franchise was made off the reboot. And so I think in that respect, that type crossover happens. But I'm not sure.
Yeah,
what you're referring to.
Oh, I was going to say because there's a few times where they've had like live action people been referenced in games, but they've never had like a real person who's famous for being a video game character, like a real person though.
No, and that's mostly because video game characters aren't real, and so translating them, there are definitely more and more real like famous actors doing video game characters and doing voiceover work.
Yeah,
like probably the most famous is going to be like Mark Hamill. Luke Skywalker himself shows up in some very expensive video games sometimes. Not just like his voice, but also
his likeness.
His likeness is done in CGI, not just for cutscenes, but also like major character arcs. You also have some other famous actors actually doing live action cameos in like little cutscenes. I want to say, I forget the name of it.
How about
there's a strategy game that I think was called Red something.
Red Dead?
Not Red Dead. It was like Red Dawn or something. It was like a mechish game.
Yeah.
And the guy who does, I forget the name of it too. He was a relatively famous actor. I think he's dead now. I'm not sure, but he was in that. He was a tranny movie. What's it called?
Train?
No. It's like a really popular Halloween movie, but it's that guy who dresses up in drag. It's a movie about a bunch of characters in drag. I forget it. It's not a big deal. But anyway, yeah.
RuPaul?
No. It's like a popular. It's forget. Not a big deal. I'm sure somebody in the audience knows what I'm talking about. There's like it's a musical number. It's like I think it was like made in the 80s or like maybe early 90s. No, okay.
We're not talking To Wong Fu, one of those three.
No, it's definitely older than that.
Oh, okay.
Well, never mind. Next story in Geek Bytes. Somebody's gonna think of this later. If you do, guys in the audience, I will give you an audiobook code if you can tell me the name of that movie and the main character's name, because it's going to bug me. Okay, here is our next story, Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog it's going to come out apparently in next year of November, which seems like a very short time considering that seems like it's a CGI movie, and it should take more than a year to come up with a good animated movie. But that's my opinion. But
they waited a long time for a movie nobody wanted.
No, yeah, and looking at the main character, even just as outlined in this way, he looks horrible. Like he's super anthropomorphized. He looks much more human than I would hoping he would. Like the original game character has like a really big head, smaller bodies, and this one looks way more human. I'm dreading to think that this is going to be something like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where the character is super made like a human, and I'm not sure that's going to work out because this whole movie is set in an alternate world where animals are like anthropomorphized to somebody or roboticized.
So it's definitely for the furry community out there.
It kind of looks that way, right?
I saw a couple like still shots of where they showed his feet/shoes.
Right. So
you definitely see the blue furry like calves and legs of him. I'm not sure if they're going to give him the white gloves or not. I really doubt it the way it looks like from the picture.
Right.
And if I'm counting fingers right, I think it's going to be the three fingers.
3 fingers of death.
3 fingers, 1 thumb. So the classic kind of cartoony kind of looks. And he's not totally all humanized. But the thing is also, if it is all covered in fur, I don't expect him to look like Beast from the XMen. But Elijah Wood?
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. It's a different actor. I'm kind of looking at
You're still looking for it.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah. Sonic the Hedgehog was not really too popular. I tried watching the cartoon series as a kid. He was actually voiced by Jaleel White, Mr. Stephen Urkel for the longest time.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But the whole concept of it was just like, did you play the Genesis game, the Sonic?
Yeah, I actually played it both. I played all of the different
Sonic
franchises. Yeah.
The only Sonic version game that I liked playing personally was the Sonic Pinball, just because it was more of a pinball game and it combined a little bit with the Sonic, so you'd be able to control him running around. Yeah. But even then, it was just like, running from left to right, you lose track and you go through the little mazes and whatnot. So unless you mopped it out, supposedly, I'm not sure if the rumor's true or not. Jim Carrey is supposed to be Dr. Robotnik, Mr. Eggman. I'm not sure which name he's going by, but
yeah. So
if you're bringing up drag movies, I could probably give you names of it. But
I know that, and like the song is like dun 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 dun.
Oh, him.
Dude, yeah.
I totally know who you're talking about now.
Oh yeah, I see. Now you get to it.
Oh yeah. It's,
what's the name?
God, I know who you're talking about.
I can't remember the name of the movie. I know the actor, and he's in like So there.
Mr. Frankfurter himself.
Yeah, that's it. There you go.
Well, Time in a Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah,
that's
the Rocky Horror Picture, and there's an actor there.
Yeah, him. No, yeah, I remember him now. Yeah. God, I can't think of his real name, but yeah.
Okay. Next story.
That, I'll bring up his name right now.
Sure. Next story, folks, is this is us being nerds, folks. That we're obsessive about these things.
That's called geeking out.
Right, yeah, Rocky Horror Pictures, and we're thinking of. You guys missed out on that audiobook code for Audible because nobody in chat room.
We know who he is.
On
we're just
Facebook
coming up with
Live
his name.
Told us what it was, but you can still win that audiobook code, folks, if you tell us the main character's actor name and what video game franchise he starred in. That I'm thinking of. So if you guys want that Audible audiobook code, you guys can get it. But you have to. This is purely for the people watching on Facebook Live. So he already beat you, Tim Curry.
Suck it.
But there you go, folks. You have one more chance. What is the video game franchise that Tim Curry was the star of? Mm-hmm. And it's a very famous one. So if you're a PC computer game nerd, you can still get this. And this is legit. I have tons of audiobook codes. I will give you one if you can answer this question by the end of the show, of course.
All right.
Okay. Now, in the rest of the geek news here, we have our next story, which is going to be our first look at Aladdin and the genie.
And Jasmine.
Yeah, Jasmine was there, but we've seen her before. We've actually seen Aladdin before. Jafar. We hadn't seen Jafar, and we hadn't seen the genie. And the first look you got was on Entertainment Weekly. This was like last week or a couple weeks ago. And people were not pleased at seeing Will Smith look the way he does as the genie, because again, this is a Disney film, and they were expecting, the blue genie, the one that Robin Williams did the voice for,
or at least pointy ears.
Yeah, and honestly, this is a really good look. There are other shots of Will Smith as genie, and actually, don't mind the look. It looks really pretty good. Rumors from the studio have told people and actors that, for most of the film, the genie is going to be blue. This is Will Smith's human form as the genie when he's giving advice to Aladdin in various locations. So for most of the movie, apparently they just shifted this, or this is always the plan. But the genie is going to be a familiar blue-looking character.
Well, out of all the characters in this movie coming out, the most important one to me is Iago. Please be voiced by Gilbert Gottfried. He's still alive.
He needs to work.
Do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I would be disappointed if Gilbert Gottfried does not show up as the talking bird Iago. Yeah. There's no reason for him not to.
Yeah. If you ever saw a couple of the other images of the Aladdin movie, there's suddenly a little bit of a fan base for Mr. Jafar.
There was also a big of a hullabaloo about Aladdin wearing a shirt and not just a vest also. They're like, hey, why is he wearing the second shirt? I want to see those muscles. That was
Sex
the other
appeal.
thing. Yeah. So there you go.
But either way, it looks good.
Yeah, I'm happy with. I mean, honestly, Jasmine looks the most like Jasmine out of all these characters. I'm like, oh yeah, she looks like Jasmine.
So there's no, at least just going by stills, nothing's like anybody offended for this, anybody just not liking this, other just him not being blue.
Aladdin. I mean, Aladdin himself is like, oh, that's I guess close enough as far as like the face looks.
A quote unquote Middle Eastern ish.
Nah, it's fine. I'm not too disappointed. I personally, I don't have an issue. I'm like, just give me the movie. Let me see what it is. Apparently, they are going to have 2 songs in there for the film, and we'll see how that turns out. So they're probably going to like some new Tony Award or something. Oh, yeah. Okay, next story. Oh, this is more of a fan theory confirmed by Marvel. We know in the last few movies in the Marvel franchise, Loki has turned hero instead of being villain. So there was essentially a fan theory trying to explain away why he was the bad guy in the first Avengers movie. And the fan theory basically is that he was under mind control from the Mind Stone that he's using right here in this little screenshot in the first film, that he was being mind controlled by Thanos to go and try to get the rest of the stones or whatever. And Marvel apparently is recently confirmed that is actually true. That's how they're retconning Loki going from villain to hero. Yeah, me too.
Okay.
I'm like, it seems like an excuse in your retconning things because you murdered him off at this point, and you want to make him into a hero because you're going to do a secondary television series with him on Disney Plus. So sure, why not? I mean, the weirder things have happened in the comics.
The Adventures of Loki.
So that little retconning totally is like not even the worst thing we've ever heard.
Yeah, the other thing going in the rumor mill for especially Avengers Endgame that's going to be coming out later on is they're going to try to work Wolverine in it, and I'm like,
I don't know that that's the case, to be honest. No, that's coming out in, what is it, like May? April? Not even in May. Like it's coming out much sooner.
Yeah. So if it happens, cool. I'd love to see that, but I don't think so.
I think they might eventually use Endgame as a way to reboot the universe.
And the whole connection of the rest of the X-Men.
I think it's already sort of been confirmed that there's going to be some time travel elements in there, and that's how they're going to like kind of boot everything, get all those characters who were murdered and dead, reinstated into the Marvel universe, and that's and that way they can also like reset the time and like, we're introducing mutants, and we can introduce a bunch of other things, and including like a different Wolverine or a different set of X-Men, and that's also a thing we're talking about. I think a little bit in that. Kevin Feige has already confirmed, because the Marvel Fox deal is already hopefully going to be done in the next 6 months, they're already planning what they're going to do with the X-Men. They're already planning what they're doing with that particular. We'll talk about a little bit about that later.
The other kind of little joke, or it's not people being really anal about the Avengers Infinity War. Okay, we get it. Thanos snaps his fingers.
Yeah.
Everybody half of the world turns to dust. Don't you find it kind of weird that in the position of what they are in Wakanda in Africa, it's still daylight in New York when
that was definitely the latest little.
He's like, don't they understand the concept of time?
No. I mean, we watched it recently because it's on Netflix now. I was like, wait, New York looks a little bit dark, like it's getting towards evening, so maybe it's not entirely out of the picture. Like it's super early in the morning in Wakanda, and so it's just getting evening in New York. Yeah. I kind of like figure like, okay, they can fudge it a little bit. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just everything's dark and you can't see anything flying around and people disappearing.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, I get it. That's fine. Yeah. Better lighting during the day, free. Sure. Okay, next story. Optimus Prime. Apparently, they're thinking about doing an Optimus Prime movie. Bumblebee has done amazingly well its opening weekend. It came out with a gross of $84.2 million worldwide, $43 million domestically in the United States. and Canada. And so that's, I mean, the budget for the movie is $135 million. So they're well on their way of like making back what they paid to make the thing. And that's the first time that's happened in the last couple movies.
Yeah, because what a lot of fans were praising, they went back to the 80s style looking of the Transformers instead of that modernized Michael Bay vision.
Not that there's anything wrong with that look. No. It's just like, no, the play for Transformers is nostalgia. I mean, that's the only reason people went to in the first place. Because like, I remember this as a kid. I remember this watching these cartoons in the morning and buying all these toys and wanting them all to, all the ones that went together. Even that's all that movie was, that all that television show was about, is to push toy sales. But we're okay with that as grown-ups. We're okay with
we're buying back our childhood.
Exactly. And so the fact that they went back to the original looking Bumblebee was definitely a good thing. And the movie itself also plays upon nostalgia being set in the past, in the 80s. And so they're thinking about doing it for Optimus Prime as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check it out. I didn't get a chance to see the Bumblebee movie. I just saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which was awesome. Waiting for, hopefully I might see that tomorrow morning if everything works out fine. But yeah, it looks awesome. The look and everything, the toys, I didn't really fall in love with, at least for what they put out. But definitely worth checking it out for sure.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, next story, we were talking about this a little bit. The Marvel Cinematic Universe mastermind Kevin Feige says that he expects to start working with the X-Men and the bunch of Fox properties as early as 2019. The deal is apparently supposed to be finished within the next 6 months. That means completely finalized.
Summer, hopefully.
Finishing up all the regulations, passing all the things in the United States and other countries. Because remember, this deal has to be approved not just by the United States, but also in every single country in which they plan to make these films and release them. So it's going much faster than some people thought they were. But the rumor is that they're already making plans to use the X-Men, reboot them, or do something with them. And I think that's good. So what franchise do you think they should reboot first?
Well, you have to go with the original. They have to go with the original.
Original what?
And, the X-Men.
X-Men, okay.
And I want to see the original team. I know some weird guy from another thing joining on, unless they want to go that story route, which they've done in cartoons, they've done in video games, where they introduce a new character to the X-Men.
So do you think they should go? I mean, because in every one of these movies and all the major stream introductions, you use one character as your vector point to get to everybody else. Like in the animated series, it was Jubilee.
Yes.
You took Jubilee as a character. She's a troubled young lady who discovers she has mutant powers, and that's how she's introduced to the X-Men, school for gifted children. Do you think that's the route they should take, or
definitely? Because that's
how with Wolverine? Because last time in the movies it was Wolverine is the introducing factor of Rogue is looking for him. He becomes the main character in that franchise of coming into the team to save her.
We're gonna see who's gonna fill in those claws for Wolverine, because the other I think it's gonna go with hyper and wise that are Keanu Reeves is interested in becoming Wolverine.
No, he was originally supposed to be cast as he went up for the role of Wolverine. He just didn't get it.
Yeah, no, they need some young blood, young enough that they could put makeup on to age him.
Yeah,
because it'll be harder to get an older guy.
Well, no, they could also go back to the 80s and come into this nostalgia play that Wonder Woman is doing and a bunch of other movies are doing, in that it's a younger version of Wolverine, but he looks relatively the same because he doesn't age as a character. But it's younger X-Men, and so he's training them, or he's just coming in the team when they're first coming through, or maybe something like that. They could also do that play as well.
Yeah,
because they've done that for the last 3 or 4 X-Men movies, where they started in the 80s or the 50s, and then went to the 70s and the 80s, and this next time is I think in the early 90s, the latest Dark Phoenix one.
Yeah.
So there are plenty of ways they could do that.
Wait a minute.
Sure.
Is it still happening? Remember, we kind of talked about it, but I don't remember. Is the Phoenix still happening?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
They did some reshoots. Production is still on board. They're planning. They have a release date.
Okay.
So it's still happening. They didn't just cancel it.
Yeah. I was
not after spending that money to make the movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, we're talking about Predator versus Santa Claus. This is a recently released during the holiday season Predator holiday special. I think it's a special feature on the Predator movie. The one that came out, I think it's on Amazon Prime or Amazon. Feature. You can buy it, yeah. But people are saying that they enjoyed this short more than they enjoyed the actual movie, and I do not doubt that whatsoever. I was so delighted watching this thing because it goes back to Bass and Rankin style of claymation system, and it's just super violent, but it still plays very well with the Predator franchise. They're like, oh, it's reindeer versus the Predator, and the elves, and it's like it's not that long. It really is only like 2 minutes 15 seconds.
So we'll let it play. We'll talk through it. Right?
No, it's like super hilarious. I'm like, I loved every minute of it, and it just like, oh, this is. I wish this had been like the full movie or something, because this alone would have been worth making me go into the theater for.
Oh yeah, because if like you said, if you're a fan of the old school Santa Claus is coming to town, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, but it's actually a little smoother to be cleaner than watching the Robot Chicken stuff.
Right? No, yeah. This definitely had some money behind it. Like the characters look feltish. At least for the ones that have fur. Like that's an attention to detail. Like, oh yeah, this is. This probably took 6 months to film, even though it's 2 minutes. Yeah. And yeah, it's super violent. It's definitely for grown-ups. You have Santa Claus there, and I think Santa even curses, and it's and even at the end it even ties into aliens at the very end of it.
Oh, they bring down the
awesome. It's like, oh, here's your gift, Santa, at the very end.
I love parodies. I love making fun of pop culture. Bringing the holiday stuff. Wow, that classic.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then here's your present for killing one of us, basically.
Easter. This is Christmas, mother.
As that, and that ties into the second one of the Predators. Remember the one that was set in like the modern city, and where when he actually killed the Predator on their spaceship, he got some little sword as a prize or whatever. That was from like the 1800s. Oh, and here you have killer elves.
The trophy collecting Predators, where they take the skulls and whatnot.
Yeah. And then like the last twist at the end, it's a commercial for the movie The Predator. I haven't watched the movie. I have no interest in watching Olivia Munn and anything. I feel like she's ruined so many of these movies that I've enjoyed.
You didn't like Magic Mike? She had boobs in it and everything.
Never saw Magic Mike. But like she was in the XMen movie, the one with Apocalypse. I'm like, oh.
But she was a cool character though.
She was a very fine character. Cool. She's not been great in that movie though. Like in I felt like they used her to like, oh look, we have a geeky person who's
it's one of your peoples.
Yeah, look, here's some geek praise. Come Greek cred. I'm like, no, she's not really. She's a. I'm like, that's fine. Like G4, great. That's amazing. And hey, she pulls in seats, great. But I
miss her there, but that's as far as it goes.
I prefer her serious acting stuff. I liked her on that news show in the newsroom. Great stuff there. But the last few movies, not so much. Okay. Next story, we have Penny Marshall is dead. That's unfortunate. She died on December the 17th in her Hollywood home due to a complication to diabetes. So she died at the age of 75. Absolutely. She has most well known for her character on Laverne and Shirley. She debuted on Happy Days in 1974. She has several other characters that she's known for. She was semi-regular on The Odd Couple. And a regular on a short-lived show called Paul Sands and Friends and Lovers. I also actually recognized her from, she was on the Mary Tyler Moore show, which is now on Hulu. So going through like the later season of that series, when Mary moves to a new apartment, she was one of her neighbors, and she showed up a few times. I think she showed up once or twice a season towards the end. And she's been in a bunch of other guest spots. She's had a long-lived career, but she's also done more directing.
I was surprised to see her body of work.
She's probably better known as a director at this point than Laverne and Shirley necessarily.
And you got to blame, I don't say blame, but love that connection with her dad. They've done a bunch of things. The one scene that kind of always brought me out, other than, of course, watching classic Laverne and Shirley episodes, is her being the wife of, which is kind of weird, of her dad in Hocus Pocus as the wife of the devil, if you will. But love Penny Marshall. I don't know what was up with her look. She always had that look, like kind of like Whoopi Goldberg, like to have her glasses really down like an edge of her nose or anything, like kind of like reading glasses. So, but who knows?
No, she always had the very interesting look. She's always a character actress. And she's always funny, so it's sad that she has passed.
Do you think they're gonna put a big old like L on her tombstone or anything like that?
An L? No.
That's her trademark L on her gear.
That'd be interesting. I think if she had like something on the Walk of Fame where it was like, or Grauman's Chinese Theater where she had her her name, an L would probably show up there.
Yeah. To the best of my knowledge, is her dad alive? Because obviously he's older. Can can't even think of his name.
You mean Gary
Gary
Marshall?
Marshall, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's her
wait,
brother.
no, that's his brother?
That's her brother, not her dad.
Oh, wow. I thought
really?
it was her
dad,
dad.
huh? Really, buddy? Thanks.
I'm sorry. He didn't age that well.
No, he's her older brother, obviously.
See,
but-
like that classic sunglasses down there look. But she did what? A League of Her Own, I want to say. There you go. No, for there. League
She
of
was
Her
in
Own.
Big.
Director. Wow.
No, her director side is much bigger than her acting
yeah.
side. Like, here's her director side. She has
Preacher's Wife.
all these
Wow,
things.
very
Like,
good.
seriously, a lot of things that she's done. And then you have her
she
acting
directed
side.
Hocus Pocus too. Wow.
Well, maybe she was in it.
Or
That's
at
it.
least in it. Yeah.
That's it.
But
So actress stuff, directing stuff.
Portlandia.
Yeah. So she has a whole long filmography of things that she's known for. So
Yeah.
yeah, all kinds of stuff. Just a bunch of like little spot acts. So okay, so there we go. That's most of the show. We have the Movie Trailer Showdown, folks, and then that's it. Remember, folks, if you're watching this live, and it doesn't look like anybody is, you can get that audiobook code for Audible. It's a free audiobook, basically. If you can answer that question we had, what video game franchise was Tim Curry in?
Yeah.
Because we couldn't remember. I think you looked it up already. Like
I didn't look up the game, so I
no,
could
it's like
do
if
that.
you look
but
it up.
I'm not going to keep it for myself.
And we'll see at the end if somebody got it right or not. So what video game franchise was Tim Curry a live action actor in? It's a very famous one. If you're into like
Now, do you remember the
real-time
game?
strategy
now?
games, if I hear the name, I'm probably gonna remember it better because there was a multiple series. You can look it up. And
Just so
again,
you could
one
remind
free
you.
audiobook code, which I will give you. Okay, on to the Movie Trailer Showdown. We have a ton of stuff actually in Movie Trailer Showdown because we were gone for so many weeks. But we're gonna start with the Umbrella Academy. It's fun.
I still like it with all those kids with a domino mask. It looks like
Right.
a House of Robins.
Yeah. This is actually a really interesting series. It's based on an anime or a comic book series, and again, this is also set in the past. It's set in 1989, when essentially a rich billionaire adopts a bunch of superhero powered kids and uses them to, try to save the world and do things. And so when the dad dies, the kids kind of come back together, and you see how their lives have changed because of their powers. And it's a very interesting look at what power does when you have it your entire life, whether you think of it as privilege or you think of it as just like what superpowers would really do to your, your regular everyday life, how would you use them, abuse them. In this case, they're coming back together because they need to save the world, according to the most powerful psychic kid. And it's not that far. It's going to be a Netflix show. It comes out February the 15th. But it's a very interesting take on superheroes, I think.
It is really well done. It looks like the quality you think you would see out in the theater. But
No, absolutely. Yeah, Netflix is definitely spending those hard-earned bucks. Next one is Miracle Workers. Also premieres in February. It has Dave Buscemi as God. And then you have a bunch of other characters, including Harry Potter. Harry Potter is in this movie.
Daniel Radcliffe.
Daniel Radcliffe. But everybody's going to think of Harry Potter. You also have the lady from The Office. You have her from something else. She's been in a couple more recent movies, including Cop Blockers. Yeah, the kid in Hot Clocker. She's in that movie with John Cena. And you have a bunch of minor, less well-known actors, but they're coming together for this short series run. And it looks really interesting. It kind of combines the comedic work time humor of The Office, or there's another one called, I forget what it called, it was like a superhero show where it's like, the people who fund them or
DC
advertise for them. And so I'm like, it kind of combines that same kind of humor to me. But it was definitely interesting to see Daniel Radcliffe in a television show. He's done movies and he's done a lot of them. Nothing nearly as popular as Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But also when you compare him to everybody else, he's the pastiest dude that you've ever seen. Like, he is
English.
super light. Like, there he is.
Yeah.
There's everyone else. Yep. Brown, super white brown.
Yeah.
And that one's in the one little line up there, but he's look at that, super pasty.
I haven't seen the movie where he's I don't want to call him a demon, but he has horns growing out of his head.
Oh yeah, there's also one where he's dead.
Oh yes,
Where
that's
he's
right.
actually
the
dead.
human switchblade.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And well, the pastiest dude you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
See, I'd rather see
guess
those
like-
movies than this. I'm sorry.
It's like a spectrum, like darkest, a little bit lighter and lightest.
It's the little mini UN of the world.
Yeah. So, but it's a fun trailer, and I'm actually looking forward to checking it out.
All right, check this real quick.
Sure.
Is this the right game?
It's Tim Curry.
No, right there in the video game.
Nope.
That's not it?
Nope. I mean, he's actually done a lot of voiceover work.
Yeah.
So he's done a lot of things, but there's definitely one in particular that I'm thinking of. That I'm willing to give somebody a free audiobook. You can choose Adventures in Terror if you want to. That's my audiobook, but it's a free audiobook code. You can use it anywhere if you can get this answer right.
Okay, so this one?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. He's in all of them.
All right, then. We got it down.
And the next one is ABC Murders. That's the next show. I actually thought that was really interesting as far as like murder mysteries. It has Don Malkovich playing Hercule Poirot, who's the detective on the Orient Express movie that came out recently, which is where I recognize that name from. I actually liked that movie. I thought I think I knew the synopsis already, so it was minorly spoilery for me. But the whole play of like, oh, this is the 1930s or 20s. This is the world building. This is all the setup for it. It felt nice. Like it felt really well done. And I'm kind of curious to see how they do it here. And then you get to see another Harry Potter character there as well. You get to see Ron. Yeah, that was Ron, wasn't it? Yeah, that was Ron Weasley. He was in that. He plays a detective here in this movie. So it's interesting to see as a series run on YouTube.
Yeah. Seemed like a decent one. It wasn't really grabbing my attention as much as I thought, though.
Yeah, but I'm like, okay, of the things we've seen in the last few weeks, why not? We'll give it a shot. We may not like it the best, though, but it is an interesting looking trailer.
No,
Next one is this one is just weird and interesting. Like, I can't believe they made a second one of these, because this is actually a sequel. It's Iron Sky: The Coming Race, and the first one essentially space Nazis versus the Earth. That was the first movie in Iron Sky, and the second one is basically the premise is that the war is over, the Earth and the Moon both took tragedies, and the people of Earth moved to the Moon, like the last remnants of humanity moved to the Moon so that they could live in like an old Nazi space bunker. I'm not sure what the premise of the movie is, and like they're trying to get something back from the Earth, and it turns out the Earth is really hollow. And so they're trying to play up the journey to the center of the Earth kind of vibe when they go back to I don't know, to replant them or to steal something. But there are space dinosaurs.
That's why I thought it was like Dino Riders, the live action movie.
No. There's space dinosaurs, and there's apparently an old fashioned Hitler comes back apparently for this. I'm not kidding. At like the end of the trailer, it's like, oh look, it's lizard face Hitler in the center of the Earth, kind of thing going on there.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of like weird things happening. I'll skip ahead a little bit. See,
really random, but
yeah. And this is definitely the journey to the center of the Earth kind of thing, where it's like, oh, there's a place in the middle of the Earth where it's like ancient dinosaur world, lizard people, actual dinosaurs. So I'm like, oh, that's a lot of stuff.
There it is.
Lizard Hitler.
Land of the Lost. Is she jump kicking a T-Rex?
I think she's going to get eaten there personally, but we'll see. So yeah, like I said, it's a very interesting trailer. It's definitely one of the weirder ones.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make it bad. Next one is Kingdom. This is essentially Asian zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
And it's set in like a feudal period of Asia.
I always wondered, because they always come out with amazing movies when they deal with like that era, but like so many costumes.
Yeah, they're definitely playing, and that's expensive, but they're definitely playing up the combo of that between that and the zombie apocalypse. I'm like, oh, we know how we deal with it in the modern times. Bunch of bullets, bunch of headshots. But in ancient times, if there was a zombie apocalypse, how would they do it? And you see some of the ways that they've tried to use the defense mechanisms. Like, oh, that's really good. Not effective necessarily, but
nope.
See, like a bunch of stakes and spears, and like we know as culture, like, oh, hit him in the head, headshots, kill their brains. Before like an ancient people to figure that out, like how do they do that? Do they just burn them up? I mean, and that's kind of the curious thing for me. And so if you're into foreign films and martial arts films and like zombie apocalypse stuff, then it might be a thing for you.
But don't expect like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon style effects where everybody's like floating through the skies.
Here we go. Look at Hellboy.
Now that one, yes.
This was probably that's why I put it at the end. This is definitely one of the trailers that most people are going to think is the best. Like the last three we have here. This is Hellboy. This is an entirely new look for Hellboy. It's the guy from Stranger Things, the sheriff. He's actually he bulked up for this role, and this is a more mature, murdery Hellboy.
Yeah, and if you notice, that's body paint. That's not prosthetics. That's all him. Yeah, that's all up that.
It's all man muscle.
Yeah. So he looks good. Don't expect a Ron Perlman kind of thing, but he does tell, because of the prosthetics for the face, he will have that like kind of stuck face because he can only show so much facial expression wearing the mask.
Right.
So, but it looks good. It takes off really well. He looks a little thinner, a little lighter, because I think if I'm right, he's younger. But it looks good. I don't know if Abe's going to be in this, but it gives him that one scene where he gets the horns again. And he has that one power. It looks like a flaming crown kind of deal. So it just looks awesome. I love the work on the CG like demons that are on there. It looks really well done. It doesn't look too cheesy where it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, then I think going for some little darker and grittier and less superhero-ish. And I think Guillermo del Toro's filming style really played well with this universe. This one, I think it felt like it's supposed to be a little more realistic. And that one was more super fantasy, especially that second one with the... I forget what it's called.
Golden Compass.
The Gold Compass. The Gold Compass? Was this something?
No, it was the Golden Army.
Yeah, the Golden Army. Yeah. And this one again, a little more gritty and real.
Yeah.
And they're definitely going for a darker, more violent kind of take on this. So there it is, folks.
Yeah, definitely want to check it out.
Yeah, looks. I mean, every single scene of this looks really nice. But again, it's a little more realistic, more normal violence instead of like supernatural. Oh, we have an amulet of Acosta or whatever that's going to save us.
There you go. There's that flaming crown.
Yeah, I think that's a little spoilery, to be honest, but whatever. I don't know if there's another bit at the end. No. Okay.
Yeah, no.
So there you go, Hellboy. And then we have Men in Black International, which is the next entry into the franchise.
I still find it funny, though, that they go with international, because the whole concept of Men in Black isn't supposed to be intergalactic.
Yeah, well, no, they're basically saying they have different headquarters to different places in the world now. So they start off the movie with, I don't actually know her name, the female character from Thor movies.
Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Those two.
Finding out the location of the Men in Black and like kind of getting her way in.
I know about you guys.
Yeah, she figured it out, and so she's good enough to do it, basically. And it starts off in the New York headquarters. And then she's sent over to London to kind of deal with a situation there, and she finds out, oh, there's more than one headquarter, and that's the international version. Even though the lady's in charge is English. I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, curious. And, of course, you have Liam Neeson on the other side in London, and this assumes, of course, that there are different Men in Black locations in different parts of the world.
The only thing I like, they did have a little tie into the old ones. So it looked on the images of those two paintings, it looked like they had Agent J and the other one, K.
AJK?
Yeah. And of course, you got
Agent
the
L.
you got the coffee drinking
Agent H.
aliens.
Agent H for Hemsworth.
Yeah. He's M. No, is he M or is he H?
He's H.
Oh, okay.
I think it is for Hemsworth. Like they didn't feel like changing like name recognition. He definitely looks thinner than he does in Thor, though.
Yeah. This was off day.
This is between Thor films.
There you go. There's your product placement.
Looks like one of his skinnier brothers, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The skinnier brother, or at least
it's not the one marrying Miley Cyrus.
Exactly. Good for him.
Yep, she got one.
Yeah. So that's cool. The whole pulling parts out of your car to turn it into a weapon, which the car itself should have just been like a transformer.
Yeah, I feel like just open the trunk. They're your rifles.
Yeah.
No need for the rest of us.
Yeah.
So there you go. So great stuff. Very international. Again, they're going lots of different places besides just New York. Looks like they have Egypt.
And they got one little cutesy alien
Cairo,
for
they got
the
some
cute factor.
Asian locations.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, great stuff. So it's international filming as well. Okay, last one is going to be Godzilla, King of the Monsters. This one came out a few weeks ago on December the 10th. So several weeks. And this one I was actually genuinely happy to see so many monsters.
They got
everybody.
A CG budget, and they made some of the cheesiest monsters that I didn't think they would bring back. Made them look awesome.
No, Mothra looks nice.
Mothra was
Ghidorah definitely is the big villain at the very end. There's some other characters. I'm not sure what the lizard one was, like the crawler lizard. I think they even have the centipede as well in there somewhere. So they might have some original ones or just less well-known ones. They had Rodan. Rodan's featured heavily in this film, coming from the lava and
they gave Godzilla some speed too. He was like running across I was like, wow, man. So he wasn't like
you see this bulky. One like there, that one right there with the claws coming out. I feel like that's a character I don't know yet.
Yeah.
But there's
the little silhouette frozen. There. That was always the fear of the monsters rising.
Then we have that turtle.
Oh, Gamera.
And they're like, yeah, we can make Godzilla a pet. No, we will be Godzilla's pets. Yeah,
I would totally love this movie if they brought that one baby Godzilla.
I would have loved
the
to
chubby face
see
one.
King Kong in here.
Well, isn't that supposed to be work that is going to connect this one? Because of
Supposed
course,
to. At the end of that King Kong movie, they connected like, oh, there are more monsters. I don't know if they ever got the rights worked out to bring King Kong into this though.
yeah, because I think it was supposed to be Skull Island or something going on.
Yeah,
That's
and I thought
they
would drag it out one, like say, like, oh, King Kong versus Godzilla, in the next one, and then a different pairing of monsters. Instead, they're putting all their eggs in one basket and making it super massive.
Yeah.
And that might really work out for them. But what do you do for a sequel if it does well?
Exactly.
You know, or maybe that sequel is going to be, oh, now we have King Kong in here. We brought another one.
Well, the other route would be, of course, if they want to do in cross brands or whatever, is tie it in with Pacific Rim, since Pacific Rim was pretty much that.
I feel like Pacific Rim would have addressed like, oh, we've had monsters here for like a really long time. This is
Yeah.
normal for our history.
Then the other route would be connecting with all the giant monsters
Right.
and robots. Power Rangers. Then you got Power Rangers thrown into the mix. Then you got Ultraman.
Ultraman I think would make the more sense, and that maybe like Mecha Godzilla comes out
There
at
you
some
go.
point, or like some Ultraman character, and everybody kind of toes down between like everybody like, oh, okay, maybe King Kong, Godzilla, Mecha Godzilla. That would be definitely a thing. But there you go. We got 6, 7, 8, 9, 8 trailers, man. So you get to pick one. What one out of all these was your favorite?
Tough one. This one I would literally have to roll a dice and see where it land. I'm gonna go Hellboy.
Hellboy was your favorite.
Yeah, Hellboy
Okay.
and Godzilla. Those are the two main ones that got my attention.
I'm gonna go with I thought Hellboy was good. I want to say The Umbrella Academy is probably the one I'm gonna watch first.
Yeah.
In February, and then Iron Sky. I just thought it was so weird.
Yeah.
But the CGI budget was really spent well. Like the CGI stuff and the special effects was hands down much better than like the first movie.
Totally.
Even though it's like a really silly premise.
Yeah.
Space Nazis.
It's
Come on.
it's kind of like that one. Was that
it's
martial art movie, the Kung
yeah.
Fu or whatever? The guy with the headband.
Yeah. Well, Kung Pao Chicken or Kung Fu Pao,
I
whatever.
forgot who it was,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was.
Well,
yeah.
that was different, and it was new scenes cut into an old movie. But I see what you mean. That's the silliness of it.
Yeah.
That's kind of where this comes from. So for me, I'm gonna go with the Umbrella Academy, and then secondary Iron Sky the coming week. So there you go, folks. We have our movie trailer showdown. The trailers we thought were the best in the last few weeks that we haven't around, and hopefully we'll see you again. That's it for the show, folks. Remember, if you like the show and you want to help us support us in any way, shape, or form, you can find out all the ways to do so at
geekbytespodcast.com/support.
There we go. And thanks for listening and watching, ladies and gentlemen, for Geek Bytes Podcast. I am Ramon Mejia.
I'm Edgardo Acosta.
And remember, folks, till we can again, remember to go geek out about something.
And since we won't see you the next time, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, folks. Start streaming.
What's the other one? Boots and pants and boots and pants and boots and pants and boots and pants. Yeah.
Okay, so looks like everything. Okay, looks like the stream's going there. We have event logs that we don't actually need or anything. There are people hanging out. All kinds of fun numbers hanging out. Okay, so we're going to get started. We'll go live. And there we go. Hey, everybody. We're Ramon, me, and Edgar here from the Geek Bytes Podcast. We're going to be going live in 3, 2, 1.